All right, Monday afternoon on the Audible. Kim Bokamper here, John Congemi with you today. It is a pre-Super Bowl, post-championship weekend program today, and we're going to look at those games a little bit from yesterday. We'll kind of keep up with what's going on with the Dolphins. Got the Senior Bowl going on up in Mobile, Alabama. So, to me, the Senior Bowl always kind of gets you into that hardcore off-season draft action.
You know, it's funny, Bo. We've been there for so many years covering it live and going over and doing packages on all the players. And you kind of look at the quarterbacks, at linebackers, at offensive guards, all the positions that the Miami Dolphins are looking at in this offseason. When free agency hits, when the draft finally comes. Where are they having it? In Dallas this year, right? So you go about that. But the Senior Bowl really is the one thing – excluding the underclassmen that declare for the draft, this is where you go and you find those nuggets that maybe that guy at tight end from Michigan is better than the guy at Penn State, or maybe the offensive tackle from Pitt is better than the guy from Alabama, and you kind of pencil that guy in because in the third round or the fourth round or the fifth round, you get a familiar name because you've seen him somewhere before. And I think that's what the Senior Bowl provides, and the NFL Network and all the people that are up there do such a great job of providing that insight on all those players.
Yeah, and it's funny because you look at the Senior Bowl and you see the guys from. I mean, look at some of these names. Guys from Iowa,
everywhere
from
North Carolina State.
Here.
That's right.
You got
Texas A&M.
A lot of these guys you've seen on TV. If you're from Oklahoma, Alabama, Florida, Miami, you've seen these guys on TV.
But not many people have seen Josh Allen.
Yes,
exactly. From Wyoming.
Like Josh Allen, you got two. I think it's pretty rare for the Senior Bowl this year, John. You got two quarterbacks there that could go in the top 10 of the draft.
And what a coup by Denver, who's coaching that team, that may need one of those guys to get up close and personal.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, it's it to me really is the kickoff of what all that is. And the funny thing, the first time I went up to the Senior Bowl to cover it, and CBS 4 sent me up there. It was Nick Saban's first year.
Okay.
And I believe they had hired Nick. And he went right to the Senior Bowl, and so it was our first opportunity to
sit down
to interview him.
Right.
Not only to sit down as a one-on-one, but as all the writers, everybody, and so they sent us there to do it. And it's funny because my freshman year, my freshman year of college, I didn't get recruited, so I went to a little Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota, 1,200 student Lutheran college, across the street from across the river from Fargo, North Dakota, where North Dakota State is.
Right.
And we look up at North Dakota State like, man, that's
the
big time right there, man. That's a big time right there, North Dakota State. And so, anyway, so the reason I bring that up, so the first time I go to the Senior Bowl, that was probably, I don't know when was that, I don't even know when it was. But I go up there, and I went to this school in Minnesota for 1 year. And that was in 1973. So this was 2000 or whenever I was up in the Senior Bowl. And I walk in, and the first day, it's like the cattle call.
Right.
You got all these guys, all these seniors from all these colleges from around.
Physicals and
standing in a pair of underwear, basically, or short shorts and no shirt, no top. And you got to walk up, and they get the official
measure you, weigh you.
The official height. They get the official weight. They measure the size of your hands, your arm length, they measure all this. So I'm sitting there watching this, and I go, man, that guy looks familiar up there, the guy that was doing the height.
Right.
I go, man, that guy looks familiar up there. I don't know where he is. I kept looking. Finally, the light went off. He was my freshman football quarterback at this school up in Minnesota.
You're kidding me.
somehow
both you guys ended up in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. Somehow he got hooked up with the Senior Bowl. I saw him up there. So that's the other thing about going up there, John.
You see everybody that you forgot you knew.
Everybody that's ever dipped their toe in the water of college football
or the
NFL, for the most part, somebody's represented there.
You're either looking for a job
or
you've got a job.
And you're looking for some players. You're looking for some players so you can keep your job.
Or for your next job.
That's exactly it. No doubt about it. But it's fun because I've been up there twice. I know you've been up there every year for the last 10 years or so. And but I love going up because acquaintances, guys you played with that are now coaching, guys that used to coach when I played or they're still in the business. You see them up there and everything. It really is it's a really a fun week from a standpoint of what you get to see on the field and those relationships you get to rebuild when you're up there.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking forward to watching it on TV over the next couple of days, just to reaffirm maybe some of the beliefs I have or evaluations that you kind of make on players to see if those guys how the pros really see them and how they fare against competition that maybe they haven't seen all year. Whether good or bad, because there's a lot of guys. I mean, there's a guy named Marcus Davenport, Bo. He went to UTSA, out in Texas.
That's
Texas San Antonio.
No, but I mean that's.
What's that?
Who was the coach that started that program?
Oh, from right here. In Miami.
Yeah, you're former Larry Coker.
Yeah,
that's Larry Coker.
That's right.
Started that program.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that university has a player. He's 6'7". 255 pounds. He's a defensive end.
Right.
I mean, mauls everybody.
Yeah.
That would be a perfect guy that you want to keep your eye on to see, the tackle from, Iowa.
Yeah.
How's he do against that guy?
Yeah.
Or how's he do against the guy from UM?
Yeah.
Or a guy from Florida State that's playing in the game.
And that's the thing, John, about the Senior Bowl from a practice standpoint that I like. The vast majority of it is just one-on-ones.
Oh, big time.
Put the tight ends against the linebackers, put an offensive tackle
against a
defensive end pass rusher, and do one-on-ones. And you can really see, you can really break guys down under those circumstances. Now, I remember I played in the Senior Bowl when I came out of college, and I played in the Blue-Gray game before that, and I played in the East-West Shrine game.
Yep.
Then I went to the Senior Bowl and was shocked when I went to the Senior Bowl. We were practicing 2-a-days. I mean, it was a grind. It was
a lot different.
The other ones were like,
Well, it was a all-star game.
It was an all-star game.
This one was
you never practice in pads and shorts and T-shirts. As long as you can know, look, I got to go this way or that way.
More media day than practice.
More media day than practice.
Yeah.
Kind of hanging out with the guys, getting to know everybody.
Right.
You get there, all of a sudden it was a grind. So I go into my room, and here comes the guy that's assigned to my roommate was this kid from UCLA. Cliff Frazier was his name. He was a defensive tackle out of UCLA, and I'd heard him from UCLA. All-American, the whole thing. And so we're there, and then we go to practice the next day, 2-a-day practices, and it was a dogfight. I mean, you had the scouts are all around.
You had to get ready to practice.
You had to. You literally
that was like a game.
It was like they'd have a ring around, like they were doing one-on-one pass rush.
With all the scouts.
All the scouts would be around in a circle, and you literally had to push your way through the scouts
get the rep.
to get your rep in there, right?
I know,
when you're walking doing that, and it was pressure. It was a lot of pressure. So I come back after to the room after the first day's practice are over with. And Cliff's in there, and he's like, "Oh, this shit sucks, man. I didn't know this. I
wouldn't have signed up for this.
I thought this was an all-star game, blah, blah, blah. I don't like this." And I go, "Well, what the hell? It is what it is,
Make the most of it. You're here."
And so the next morning, my alarm goes off. I wake up. I look.
His bags are packed. He's gone?
Gone. Gone. He hadn't even got into the covers in his bed. I must have gone right out.
What was his name?
Cliff Frazier.
Okay, so that's when you hear at practice the next day. Replacing Cliff Frazier from UCLA is Joe Jackson from Texas.
He went back to LA to become an actor, and every now and then I see him as a bit part on some type of thing. But I swear I woke up and I looked and he wasn't there, and I go, man, again, the guy got up and made his bed.
He's out of here pretty quick.
And then I'm looking around. Nothing. Look in the closet. Nothing.
Yeah.
Never heard from him. Never heard from him again. Never saw him again. Never talked to him again.
You get guys at the Senior Bowl that really some of the guys need to go. Some of the guys don't need to go.
Yeah.
But you get a guy that's kind of like on the border of saying, "Why am I doing this?"
Right. Yeah.
Because really, it's work.
Yeah.
It's not a lengthy as much as it was for you for 2-a-days, but it is 90 minutes the first day. Then it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
And 2 hours, and you're out on the
it
field
was full
doing
speed.
everything.
I mean, for us, it was full go, and it was, it was serious. It was serious. It didn't take you long to figure out, hey, this is serious business right here.
And you feel bad. I mean, you have to do it if you're feeling like you need to impress and get in front of a coaching staff in the NFL. But you always feel bad for that guy that tweaks something there. You go, oh, well, he's out for 2 months. He's going to miss combine. He's going to miss his individual workout. Now he's got to hope that tape, from his senior year carries him through.
And that injury doesn't carry over
and
affect him.
Going
in April, whenever the draft day. Hey, John, let's get to yesterday's game.
Yeah,
New England, Jacksonville, Philadelphia, Minnesota. I didn't expect the Philadelphia. I really didn't expect either one of those teams to put that many points on the board. And I expected that to be a little bit more of a dogfight, a little closer. I was looking at 17-10, 21-17, that kind of a game in that one. But for Philly to just dominate Minnesota the way they did, and I think, coming in as an underdog at home, I think they had a little burr in their ass, and I think they played that way.
It doesn't feel good when you have a burr in your ass. No, that's an uncomfortable feeling, and I think they've been that way for a while.
Yeah.
I think Philadelphia's been that way for a while, and I think they embrace.
Yeah.
And they're going to embrace it in 2 weeks from now, going against, everybody's going to be talking about how good Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and the coordinators getting their new jobs and going for 6, So I do think that Philadelphia relishes the position they're in, because they're a much better football team, obviously, than people are giving them credit for. And they've been able to be underdogs at home, which is kind of rare in the playoffs. And I think that their quarterback play is really good.
Yeah.
And they've got 3 running backs that can play. They've got a defense that runs and hits. They just make plays.
Yep.
And Minnesota just looked like they were a step behind all day.
Yeah.
Just a step behind all day. And I didn't expect it to be that high scoring as well.
But Philadelphia is going to be the nerdy. He's going to be the nerdy. They're going to be the nerdy kid at the prom for the next 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
They're an afterthought. The prince is coming to town. The King Belichick's coming to town. Prince Brady's coming to town. The royal, the rock and roll show's coming to town.
That's right.
And then those guys, and then those.
Here they come.
Who's New England playing?
I guess we'll show them. I guess we'll show them on TV. Somebody interviewed somebody from Philly.
But the New England Jacksonville game. Jacksonville,
they had them.
Oh God, they had them.
And
you know what? I got really frustrated in the second half watching that game, because it seemed as the game went on. The first half, they had some good play calling. They opened things up. They did, and it seemed like in the second half, John, seemed like every drive started with, let's hand the ball to Fournette right in the middle of the line of scrimmage.
I know it.
And gain a yard.
And they packed everything in with formation.
And they squeezed everything. Yes.
There was nowhere to run. There was nowhere to do anything because of the formations.
Everything started right up the whole. And you look at what New England, they slid their ends down. They kind of played a little bit of
adjustments on defense.
Yeah,
they did a really good job. And I think they played better up front.
Yeah.
I think in the first half, Jacksonville beat them off the ball.
Yeah.
They were blowing them out where Fournette was getting 4, 5, and 6 yards instead of 1, 2, or 3 like he did in the second half. And I still believe that had Jacksonville been able to find a couple of first downs in the fourth quarter, that takes a lot of pressure off of their offense.
2 first downs in that fourth quarter would have gone a long way.
Absolutely.
For
they had
that
30 total yards, I think, in the fourth quarter.
It just seemed like they got a little conservative in their game plan, and the pressure on Brady wasn't as intense in that second half as the first. But I'll give you this. Look. I thought the official. I'm so tired. It was so frustrating watching. First of all, the hit on Gronk. Well, there was New England had one penalty, and that was on a kick that was on a special teams play. A kick.
We could have called Leon for holding on the way into the show. He had just many penalties.
Jacksonville had 6.
He was here.
Jacksonville had 6, 3 devastating penalties, and the one on Gronk. Look. That guy's like a man running through kids.
What's he, 6?
He's 6'5", 6'6", 260, whatever. And even the guys that hit him, they look like they bounce off the guy.
Yeah.
And so you got to hit this guy. And I'm even listening to the broadcasters. Oh, no, that was helmet. Wait a minute. The guy came in with his shoulder, hit him in his shoulder with his shoulder, and when they both hit, his head kind of dinged his head. And I'm going, and I go, oh, no, you can't call it. And sure enough, they call it. And everyone's going, oh, yeah, that was bullshit.
How about the pass interference?
And then the pass interference that followed, they gave him that touchdown late in the first half.
He's running out of bounds.
Yeah, look, all the defensive back, all he did was follow the guy out of bounds.
Yeah.
And you call that. And then the other one, when New England, they called a penalty, another pass interference late in the game that led to a touchdown.
That's right.
That one.
Yeah.
And then there was one New England where New England had the guy mugged around the face mask.
No flag.
No call.
Well, there was a bunch of times when you look back at the replay of a New England run, you could see arms around Jacksonville defenders, whether it's a defensive tackle or a middle linebacker or an outside linebacker, and draped around a potential tackler, and nothing was called.
Yeah, no, it was.
So it was.
I just thought it was very one-sided, 6-1. Look, 7 penalties in a game of that magnitude, though. Pretty clean football.
No,
game.
it is.
7 penalties, but when 6 go one way and only 1 goes the other way, when there certainly were some opportunities to go there. That to me is
Jacksonville's going to kick themselves because they did absolutely nothing in the fourth quarter, and they had them.
Yeah.
They had them right. The game plan could not have went any better. They held the ball for over 35 minutes. They really protected the football when they needed to. The special teams wasn't a factor, but it came down to Brady getting the ball on the 30-yard line because their defense went 3 and out, forced a bad punt, decent return. 2 plays later, 3 plays later, they're in the end zone and game's over.
Look, good for New England. They're going for number 6. I just think Jacksonville got. I think they kind of took it on the short hairs a little bit in that game. They played well enough to win, but I'll give it. Look, I've been up in New England plenty of times with the Dolphins, where the Dolphins went in at halftime. You felt pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Maybe either ahead or you felt like you had them where you wanted them.
Within a
and
score.
And then you come out in the second half and you get steamrolled.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened to
Jacksonville. That wasn't
Jacksonville.
the first team.
No.
It won't be the last.
No. But pretty amazing what really pretty amazing what New England's been able to do with those guys. And it's so anyway, so you got New England and Philadelphia.
What was it, 5.5 points?
5.5 points.
Opening line for Super Bowl 52.
I think they said it was the highest opening line.
It is.
Of a Super Bowl. I would have thought there would have been more.
I was surprised at that. I would have thought there would have been some matchup that would have been a touchdown.
I saw a headline. It said New England highest favorite. However they framed them.
Right.
And I thought, man, what are they, 10-point favorites or something? It was 5.5. That's not that. To me, that's
right.
That's not that much.
I thought that you were going to have. I was trying to think back at maybe some of the lopsided, Super Bowls in the past when you felt like, well, that team's clearly the favorite. But I couldn't really come up with one. But I would have thought it would have been at least a touchdown.
Yeah. The thing with New England in this game, John, is this is experience. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. Again, to me, for New England, it's almost tantamount to a preseason game from the standpoint of of the comfort they have of being there.
Right.
They've been there so many times. It's nothing new. It's like Cleveland in the NBA. You got LeBron. You're going to the finals every year.
You're going to be facing the other best team.
Right.
And it's all about getting to that point.
And you go and you watch these teams. I remember when the Heat were in there, and you see different teams come in, and Heat had been there, done that. And other teams come in, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And these guys are. It's like they're like everyday business for them. So anyway, it should be an interesting Super Bowl. I like to see Philadelphia make a game of it, and I like to see New England get it handled.
They're going to have. The only way you've seen New England struggle in a regular season game or even in a Super Bowl or a playoff game is you have to affect Brady.
Yep, that's it.
The only way that you can throw off that offensive timing, you have to be able to make him set and then reset, and Jacksonville had that going on in the first half because it almost looked like Brady was seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
He wasn't real comfortable in the pocket.
Yep.
Came in with a hand injury, didn't affect the way he threw the football. He looked fine throwing the football, but it did affect his vision and his timing in the pocket.
And for the most part, I think for the vast majority of that first half, they did it with just 4 guys. That was the thing about Jacksonville. You knew they could, if they could get pressure him all day long with 4 guys,
they were going to have a chance to
put 7
win.
guys back there, then that was going to be the formula for it.
Right.
And they did it through the first half, and second half that pass rush just wasn't quite as productive as it was in the first half.
I think Jacksonville dominated the line of scrimmage for 2 quarters, but then New England did as well. And I think down the stretch, that was the difference.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's get some of these questions. El Chapo Jr. always with us, El Chapo Jr.
Right.
And we appreciate it. If we do re-sign Landry, do you put any special language in his contract? I don't know that. I don't know that there's. I don't know if that's a situation you put language in, but I think it's a situation where, you just have a man-to-man conversation. Hey Jarvis, look, we want you. We want you back. Mm-hmm. We're showing you how much we want you back by giving you this deal. But you got to work with us too. You got to if you want to be the player that you want to be ultimately, the best wide receiver in football, not the best slot guy, the best wide receiver in football. You've got to help make the guys around you better, and you don't make guys around you better by freelancing. You need to kind of. But I don't think it's anything you go into a contract and put down black and white.
No, you know what? People do have those stipulations in contracts where if you violate something off the field, if you do something that harms the organization.
Right.
But I think it's very fixable what the issues are with Jarvis Landry, because it's not effort, it's not production, it's doing things after the whistle. And I do believe that the last incident against Buffalo embarrassed the organization to a certain extent, embarrassed the head coach and the coaching staff, because that's not where they want this organization to be. So I think that has already been addressed. Going forward, I think you're still going to get the productive best player on this team. If it happens to, if Jarvis happens to re-sign, I think you're still going to get all those traits and some more. But I don't think that's going to be something that's going to hold him back.
It's funny. I was watching the New England game yesterday. Game was tight. I think it was still in the first half. Maybe it was in the third quarter, and there was a little scuffle there. And the kid 91, the defensive tackle, had a big game for anyway. He came and got the guy away,
right?
And you could see him just going, bro, what's wrong with you? You can't in this game. You can't.
We can't have a 15-yarder.
Jarvis isn't the only guy that
it
gets
happens
caught
every
up
week.
Is that macho?
It happens every week on every team. There's going to be guys that are ultra competitive, and you have to be able to harness it and not let that. Don't take it away from them, but harness it in the fact and make it be productive for your team, not detrimental to your team.
Hey, this guy pushes you when he's not. When you're fine.
Big deal.
Put his number in the put his number in the back of your head.
And
when you see him run across the field, there you go.
And it doesn't have to be today.
Yeah.
No. You may see him again.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Periscope, New Breed 211. Any sleepers in the draft that you guys know about? I really haven't gone that far into the draft and sleeper wise, and all I know is kind of what I've seen and picked up along the way. And really, there's the guy. I don't even know if he's in the Senior Bowl. The kid there's a tight end from South Carolina, not South Carolina. South Carolina State or something. There's a tight end from some small school that seems to be caught people's kind of got that prototypical height and weight and stuff.
Central Michigan, maybe?
No, not Central Michigan.
Okay.
Okay, it'll come to me. But I don't know about you, John, but I really haven't dug into these college guys right now.
You always have to see what free agency brings you.
Yep.
And then that kind of clears the lens for what you're looking for in each individual team, in my opinion, anyway. You kind of go out, if you get a position of need in free agency where you go, okay, let's take that not completely off the list, but let's take it down in terms of paramount to your team right now, because you've kind of answered a need.
We can take that out of the draft order and gives us a chance to maybe get somebody else
help another position
in a different situation. Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. Periscope, Murray 264G. I could see Saquon Barkley, the running back from Penn State, getting drafted by the Dolphins in the first or second round.
No.
Well, I can give you this. He ain't going to be around in the second round.
He's not going to be around at 11 either.
Something happens between now and draft day very bad to Saquon Barkley. He ain't going to be around the second round. He ain't going to be around when the Dolphins drafted 11.
No.
I think Saquon is probably –
he's Cleveland-bound.
Definitely a top 5, probably a top 2 or 3 guy.
I think he may be Cleveland-bound if you've got 2 picks in the top 4 or 5, which they do. You get a quarterback, you get a running back and say goodnight, wait your turn for the next pick.
Yep. And if he's been like most of the guys that get drafted and go to Cleveland,
he'll be somewhere else.
You'll never hear from him again.
He'll be somewhere else in a couple years.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Saquon Barkley. I mean, this kid's a real deal. I mean,
he's unbelievable.
He was a big time,
strong, fast.
everything.
He's a returner.
Yep.
He can throw it. He can catch it out of the backfield and absolutely be able to run around you or over you.
No doubt. Periscope, Platinum on Ice, John. What's been your favorite memories from covering the Senior Bowl? Also, any players that really impressed you while you've been there? How many Senior Bowls have you been to, John?
About 8 or 9 or 10, something like that. Yeah. So I best time is going with Logan McCall out to dinner. I mean that's
an adventure right there.
You get stories, you get drinks, cocktails, you get oysters, you get a little bit of everything.
You throw a couple toddies into Logan.
Oh, absolutely.
And the stories start spilling out.
You know what? Usually it's name, rank, and serial number, but you get a couple liquid refreshments in Logan, he's spilling the beans.
Well, yeah, but and he tends to get a little off because normally he's all about health. He's a health conscious guy.
Well, I mean,
he's all about grains, and oats and those things, and he gets a few toddies in him, and he tends to go. He
throw caution.
Tends to go to the Friars and stuff. You know.
You know what? That's probably the best time I had, just going with guys that I worked with and hanging out at night, and then seeing coaches or seeing guys you played with in college or you were teammates with at a certain part of your career, and you run into them.
Yeah, it's great.
Just hanging out.
You know, it's funny. It's you've been there with that stadium, John, where.
Lad Peoples Stadium.
You walk into Lad Peoples on that. I don't know what end of it is.
The one corner end zone, right?
And there's that one little area there where it's all the coaches that need jobs.
Right.
It's the little job pool over there.
Hey, do you know so-and-so? Yeah. Maybe you could say something for me? Validate my existence? Yeah, exactly.
Guys that have been in the league for a long time and are out of work, that's a tough thing, but anyway.
You know what? It's about a 3-day town.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And every year it's been about 2.5 or 3 days.
Well, yeah.
I was the greatest thing, Bo, is hanging out one year, and I can't remember what staff it was, but they go, hey, when are you guys leaving? I said, well, we got to stay another day and a half, 2 days. Well, we're leaving this afternoon if you guys are all done.
Yeah.
And I was like looking at Logan going, maybe we should be all done. Yeah. Get on the private jet and get back to South Florida.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But it's well, the funny thing about it is everyone goes, the game. We go, those coaches are gone, man.
Everybody's gone by Thursday night.
Once a day they take the pass. As soon as they take
Thursday
the pads
night's
off,
the last day of practice.
Out of town, man.
That's
out
right.
Of town. They got what we wanted. We'll see the rest on some tape. Periscope, what are you guys' feelings on getting players via free agency versus through the draft? Well, I certainly think there is a place for players through free agency.
Absolutely.
But I think that the lesson that's been learned by most teams is that you make or break your team through the draft. And look, I look at the last 2 drafts, John, and you had 4 or 5 guys from each draft.
You got young kids
make
that are
impact
playing.
Players that are playing. And some guys are playing, and some guys are really coming into their own. Others started playing this year, like Gotcha and those guys, Jesse Davis, who wasn't even a draft choice, that helped their stock. So I think you've had 2 pretty good drafts, John. I think if you can get another draft where you get another 4 or 5 impact guys on your team, that gives you a pretty good foundation. And then I kind of tend to prefer that late free agency where you get the big guy, get the guys that want the massive money off the table, and let's find that guy.
Like a William Hayes.
Exactly.
Who wants to play.
Same
and
type
still
of thing.
Has it.
Yes, exactly.
And has that passion and plays with it every time he's on the field.
Yeah. I'm always leery of high-priced free agents, and it goes all the way back to when the Dolphins went out and got a kid from Jacksonville, wide receiver, and they signed him to a big contract. And he was all right, and I forget what his name, but anyway, he came in, and I knew we were in trouble when I'm sitting in my house. I live on a golf course. I'm sitting in my house.
He was waving to you from number one?
No, knocked on my window, my back window of my house, and it's Wilfork.
I know who you're talking about. He was number 19,
19, yeah. Wilford, something from
Didn't he go from wide receiver to tight end or tight end to wide
whatever.
receiver?
I think he was a wide receiver, came here, went back to Jacksonville, then became a tight end.
Okay.
But anyway, he signed a pretty big free agent contract at the time. He's knocking on my window. I go out there, and he's with a real estate agent and his wife. And I open up, and he goes, I heard you. He's played for Dolphins. He goes, hey, what's your golf course like? He signed that big contract. All he cared about was playing golf. That was it. And I'm talking to him for 15 minutes. Guy never said one word about football. I go, man, I don't think this guy's going to work out. And sure enough, he didn't. All he wanted to do was play golf, and that's what it is. But so to answer your question,
you can do it in free agency, but I think the draft.
Yeah, that's got to you got to make hay.
The nucleus
in the
of
draft.
your team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But plus you get them.
4 years.
4 years without that big massive contract that becomes a burden on you. According to Chris Mortensen, Baker Mayfield is a family matter. Delay his arrival for the Senior Bowl, but still hopes to make the team practice at 3:30 on
tomorrow.
Tuesday. So Baker Mayfield a little late getting to the thing there. Things like this set up a little red flag debate on Baker Mayfield.
Absolutely. This is your job.
Because the last time we were on the show, last time I was on the show, I think with Joe, we were talking about Baker Mayfield being on the floor seats at the Laker game.
Oh yeah.
Back-to-back nights. With a hottie.
Doesn't everybody do that?
Yeah. So, but this is another. This is.
hey, this is your job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you are a professional, whether you like it or not. You have to be on time.
Yeah.
And you have to show up for work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And
every little thing is being
scrutinized
and analyzed and criticized, and don't give them an opening.
Believe me, these guys, you've been up in that, you've been up in the stands, and there's some of the stuff you hear in the stands to listen to those guys. Geez, his fingers look a little thin. He might, he may have a tendency to break his fingers. I don't know. I mean, they look at all the,
They've got an analysis for just about every body part.
No doubt.
The funny thing is, though, too, basically, those guys are pretty much on target.
Oh, yeah.
Because they get all the people in the room. You get a consensus about what everybody thinks, and then you got to make your stamp of approval on a certain guy.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, John, that's going to do it for today.
Hey, thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it, my man.
Good seeing you.
All right, we'll be back on Wednesday. John Congemi, Kim Bokamper. Probably come a little early Wednesday, so kind of keep an eye on that, and we'll get that figured out before then. But that's going to do it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. Hope you enjoyed the games, and we'll catch up with you on Wednesday. Take care.